By a simple mechanical device, this toy mouse can sense when it has reached the edge of the table and alter course just in time to avoid falling off. Mechanical toys endowed with the illusion of life. They fascinate us. Man, who designed these simple toys, can design an artificial man that will one day surpass its creator. So says Dr. Isaac Asimov, scientist and author of science fiction. The robots of today, he says, are crude and mindless compared with those that will follow. For the unconvinced, Asimov has more examples. The first step toward a true robot, he says, is a machine that greatly magnifies a man's physical force. Such machines now exist, long after they were described in science fiction.
With the man-made control system design, the operator's natural arm movements are reproduced and magnified by the machine. Movement of the control handle causes the boom to duplicate the movement of the operator's arm. Now, it sounds very much like that which Robert Heinlein was describing in his story.
Still closer to the fictional power suit is General Electric's Hardyman. The machine is beginning to enclose the man, pairing mechanical force with human reflexes. Another GE invention is Quadruped. Duplicating the movements of the operator's hands and feet, it can apply great force. More important, Quadruped knows its own strength and is capable of great gentleness because the operator can literally feel whatever resistance it is meeting. The most sophisticated robots are not on the job yet. Here at Johns Hopkins University, a robot was developed that gropes its own way down the halls. If it is hungry, it can find for itself the only kind of meal that really fills a robot up: a few watts of household current.
It's one thing to have a machine perform exactly what you tell it to do. At the next stage, the programming itself can allow for flexible behavior on the part of the machine. Having done something which is, well, it's difficult to say wrong, having done something which is useless, is unsafe, is dangerous, it is programmed to recognize that and to do that no longer. There is no theoretical limit whatever to how complex robots can be and how close to human intelligence they can come. The human brain is made up of atoms and molecules and nothing else. And if we can invent a robot which has a brain that is made up of units as small as those of the human brain, as complex as those of the human brain, and is as intricately interrelated as those of the human brain, you will have the equivalent of the human brain with everything there is in a human brain.
Dr. Isaac Asimov has written of a fictional future when machines assume the direction of society, and they do so in such a way as to leave man with the illusion that he still directs his own affairs. Is it possible that this fictional future has already arrived?
However, the real thing is that I have pictured in my stories the control of society by mechanical brains, even though in my story I placed it at little more than a century in the future. I think it'll take a long time yet before that happens. But I'm sure that's a long way off into the future. But I'm sure that's a long way off. I'm sure that's a long way off. That's a long, long way, a long, long, long way into the
here is Mr. Alex Ross, whose work has won numerous awards throughout the world and whose paintings hang in many of our foremost museums and galleries. Here in his studio, Mr. Ross will tell us about his philosophy and approach to art.
I find that, having spent so many years at painting, that I have less desire now to do the very obvious, realistic pieces. There's lots of people who are involved in realism, and I think there's another world beyond that. I think there's a world of, well, you might almost call it mysticism. It's a dreamlike world where we have our dreams, you know, and after all, they're important. And I think that catching some of that is important to me, you know. And there's more to it than that. You know, there is realism, and we have to realize there is. But there's also this dreamlike thing. There's this other world that I think that we can wonder about and think about and even try to paint.
Look around for the many different kinds of surfaces that can be discovered. Discovering texture can be a daily adventure. Our world is full of many textures to examine and enjoy. Some we learn about by touching. Some may be created. And some may be discovered every day. By the mind of man. Dawn remembers again the magic circle. Stonehenge. Stones from afar, brought by man to this place where no stones were before, more than 3,000 years ago. Bombarded by solar particles for billions of years, but unchanged in any other way, a moon rock is like a diary of the sun, an eye unblinking since time began. Remembered in these rocks are ancient sunspots, solar flares, solar storms whose fiery arms reached out 1,000,000 miles. By making ourselves very small, like Alice, perhaps we will see what these rocks have seen, and remember back those billions of years to decipher the life of the sun. Locked within our sun are answers to mysteries that have confounded man since time began. We have reached out with our telescopes. We have reached in with our microscopes, seeking what is the source of life. What combination of energies and elements brought it into existence? What is the relationship between the non-living and living things? How delicate is the balance? Man slowly begins to realize how fragile is his bubble of life. We have walked on the moon. We open our minds to the universe.
Color is exciting. It is all around us. The more we know about color, the more color we can see, create, and appreciate.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing dared had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how a way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged, and I took the ones traveled by, and that has made all the difference.